The sun was getting hotter overhead, indicating that it was already midday. I wiped the sweat that was flowing down my temples, trying to ward off the tiredness that was starting to spread throughout my body. Since morning, I had been in the rice fields, bending over, hoeing, and tending to the rice plants that were starting to grow well. The smell of wet soil and the sound of trickling water from a small ditch were my loyal companions throughout this work. For a moment I stood up straight, stretching my back that felt sore after several hours of bending over. My gaze swept across the vast expanse of rice fields, green stretching as far as the eye could see. Small birds flew above the surface of the water, looking for food between the stalks of rice that were starting to grow tall. The wind blew softly, carrying the scent of soil and leaves, providing a little coolness in the midst of the hot sun. However, no matter how beautiful this view was, my body began to demand its rights. My stomach felt empty, my energy was drained, and my eyelids began to feel heavy. It was time to go home and rest. I took a deep breath, then picked up the hoe that had been stuck in the ground. I put the farming tools in a sack, then lifted it onto my shoulder. With slow steps, I walked along the rice field embankment, occasionally stepping over small puddles formed by the irrigation flow. I saw several other farmers also starting to go home, carrying the results of their hard work on their shoulders or in small carts. We exchanged smiles and brief greetings, a sign of togetherness in the same struggle. My body was indeed tired, but my heart felt light when my eyes caught the expanse of refreshing green scenery around me. In the distance, the rice fields stretched out like a green carpet rolled out by the hands of nature. The young rice looked fresh, swaying slowly to the rhythm of the gentle wind. Other farmers were still visible in the distance, some bent over to check their plants, others sitting resting on the rice field embankments while enjoying the gentle breeze. On the side of the road, coconut trees stood tall, towering as if guarding the beauty of this place. Their long leaves waved occasionally, as if greeting anyone who passed by. Small birds chirped happily on the branches, while insects began to hum to greet the dusk. My steps became slower, not because I was tired, but because I wanted to enjoy this moment longer. The tranquility I felt in this place seemed to erase all the fatigue that had accumulated throughout the day. Every breath felt so fresh, as if giving new energy to my body. Footsteps still follow the narrow rice field embankments, occasionally the sound of trickling water from the clear flowing irrigation channels is heard, indicating the life that continues to revolve in these fertile fields. The expanse of rice fields stretches as far as the eye can see, green like a natural carpet that soothes the heart. The rice that is starting to grow tall sways slowly in the wind, as if dancing to welcome the return of the farmers who have worked all day. Small birds fly in the sky, occasionally perching on the rice stalks, looking for grains of food hidden among the leaves. In the distance, coconut trees are neatly lined up, their leaves waving along with the gentle breeze blowing from the hills. The sound of crickets and other insects respond to each other, complementing the peaceful and serene harmony of nature. Not far from the embankments, several other farmers are still busy in the fields, finishing their work before returning home. The sound of small birds calling to each other adds to the increasingly natural atmosphere. I enjoy it. The rice in this rice field is on average 1 month old. For some reason we have to plant the rice simultaneously. At this age, the rice still needs a lot of care, such as adequate irrigation, cleaning weeds, hunting snails and protecting it from other pests. And there is still a long time to go before the long-awaited harvest. In the middle of my journey across the rice field embankment, my steps stopped for a moment when I saw another farmer coming from the opposite direction. His face, bathed in the midday sun, looked calm, with a smile that is always characteristic of people who are used to being friends with nature. On his shoulder hung a hoe, while his hand held a bundle of grass for animal feed. We greeted each other, sharing smiles and simple greetings full of meaning. A short chat about the condition of the rice fields, the weather, and hopes for a good harvest just flowed. Even though it only lasted a few minutes, a meeting like this always felt warm, reminding us that in the midst of the busyness of farming, there is a bond of togetherness that is always closely woven. Not far from where we passed each other, my gaze fell on a group of egrets perched among the still green rice fields. With their pure white feathers sparkling in the sunlight, they looked so graceful. Some of them stood with their long necks straight, while others were busy looking for food in the mud, looking for small fish or insects hidden in it. In essence, the farmers were looking for grass for their livestock. There were also some who wanted to go home to rest. Not far from where we passed, my gaze fell on a group of egrets perched among the still green rice fields. With their pure white feathers glistening in the sunlight, they looked so graceful. Some of them stood with their long necks straight, while others were busy looking for food in the mud, looking for small fish or insects hidden in it. As I continued my steps, the birds suddenly flapped their wings, flying into the blue sky in a beautiful formation. The sound of their flapping wings sounded soft, creating a calming harmony of nature. They flew low over the rice fields, hovering for a while before finally perching again in another, more comfortable place. I smiled at the sight. In the midst of the hustle and bustle of taking care of the rice fields, moments like this are a priceless gift. Nature provides entertainment without being asked for. A group of beautiful egrets, meeting fellow farmers, and a cool breeze on a hot afternoon. I continued my steps, crossing the embankment that divided the vast expanse of rice fields. The sound of the gurgling irrigation water can still be heard, combined with the song of crickets hiding in the grass. The journey home from the rice fields always provides peace, reminding us that life is so simple, but full of beauty that often goes unnoticed. Soon I will arrive at the road to my house. The view is still beautiful that I see. Faintly I hear the sound of a tractor. Maybe he also wants to go home to rest. The sound of the tractor was getting louder and louder, meaning the tractor was getting closer to me. And getting closer. I kept walking and soon it seemed like I would pass the tractor. It seemed like my neighbor's tractor. Just a few more steps and I will arrive at the village road. And sure enough, there is a tractor on its way home. When I arrived at the road, I looked to the left, and it was true that this tractor belonged to my neighbor. We greeted each other. The journey from the rice fields to the house is so beautiful. Maybe this can be a stress reliever. And thank you for watching my video. Please watch my other videos and like and subscribe.